welcome back to another episode of Vlogtober, where I try to make a video every single day in October. And today I have another rant, which is basically, I'm calling it why I stopped taking advice from the internet. But basically, like, if you are someone who is online a lot, and because you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're someone who spends quite some time on the internet. I spend too much time on the internet. I'm on TikTok, I'm on the Gram, I'm on YouTube, I'm on all of the places. And something that has recently started to annoy me is just the amount of unsolicited advice that is out there. And granted, as a content creator myself, I'm sure I have given some unsolicited advice, but my rant, and sometimes advice is there's times where there's a particular thing I am looking at and there's a specific creator who addresses those things, and I go and solicit, I guess, the advice that they gave online and solicited. But I feel like there has to be a line somewhere, especially because I feel like there's so much advice that is generic and one size fits all, but also, again, coming in from my yesterday's video, the whole neurotypical thing where it's like it caters for one specific group of people or one specific context. And this ranges from, for instance, productivity advice, oh, wake up at 5 a.m. every day, or do this every day, journal every day for this many days is gonna help you. And that's great, but that is on the basis of certain premises being true, that are not always true in people with neurodiversity. Or you think about financial advice, right? Especially when you watch Western stuff, there's so many premises that don't apply there, that someone can't just tell you, oh, you have to save 60% of what you make and invest 20% of what you make and then spend 20% of what you make. That advice doesn't work elsewhere in the world. And same thing with career and relationship advice, where it's people, there's not enough contextualization. I feel like creators who do a lot of advice giving, and I think specifically people whose entire channels are about giving people advice, there's no nuance. There's always if your situation is like mine, this is the advice. And almost all of the time they have certain privileges that most people don't have. And so I'm not against advice. As I've said, stick it out or whatever. But I think for me, it's the people that their way of thinking only fits particular contexts, and where basically they act like this is the way of life, and if you're not following this and living by this rule book, then you're doing it wrong, forgetting that people are different, contexts are different, applications are different. Many of us who are watching these videos and are average people face unique challenges that we wouldn't, they probably don't always face if they're well off financially or have certain privileges. Even something as simple as, oh, if you want to grow on YouTube, you have to make this many videos. If you're someone who lives at home, for instance, it's way more challenging, or lives at home with your parents, or family, whatever, it's way more challenging to make a video. So that advice just doesn't work. And so, anyway, I feel like we're in this place online where everyone feels like they have an authority on something. Everyone feels like they're the authority, regardless of the fact, who made you the authority? What are your credentials? What should I be considering? And maybe it's my responsibility as a consumer to also look at their context and everything and be able to appreciate what they're saying in their context. And if it doesn't work for me, be able to walk away and find something that works for me. But I also think creators have a responsibility. I also don't think as creators where we can just wash our hands and be like, you're a grown up, figure out what you have to do. No, we also need to be responsible. And I think not only responsible, but trying to make sure that the things that we're offering people actually work. Actually work for the people that you are trying to give advice to. I mean, unless you're also so sure that your demographic is this particular way. But anyway, what I'm saying is, I am against one size fits all advice on all things, on mental health, on relationships, on work, on money, on career, whatever, because life is so much more nuanced than what we have made it out on the internet. I feel like the internet makes everything so simple and so black and white that I'm like, I would love for a day to see the lives you live, because life is not just, you can't just put like fit everything in a cute little box and tie it all together. And for me personally, I really find a lot of encouragement from people who actually include nuance, actually understand that like their advice might not fit everyone, but there's people who appreciate it, or there's this specific niche, as they say, like being able to narrow down as a creator and say, I want to speak to people who struggle with mental health, for instance. So I want to speak to freelancers, or I want to speak to Black freelancers. But being able to get advice that is contextual, and obviously picking and choosing, because there are some creators that I'm just like, this wouldn't work for me, but I still watch it because there's something helpful. But like, as far as the best part about the internet is, I guess you can find things that you like, and what I've found that I gravitate towards is really niche creators who are super specific about who they help, and like context in which they speak into, and half the time if I'm watching it, that means I fit in that context, while not like projecting this expectation that everyone who watches this is going to be the same. I'm going to give you guys an example of a creator I love who does this so well. Her name is Elise. She is a content creator based in America. She is, I guess, I don't know, by American standards, maybe like a small medium creator, even though she has like 80,000 plus subscribers, which is crazy to me, because I'm just like, the fact that those are the metrics that the rest of the world uses. But for instance, I took her Skillshare course, and I've watched so much of our YouTube content that I'm like, I'm able to see the context, that like to see myself in this context even when things don't absolutely fit. So when it comes to running a freelance business, for instance, she's someone I learn a lot from, even though like our businesses exist in different parts of the world with different challenges and different opportunities. She recently did a Skillshare course where she talked about video lighting, and she included natural lighting if you're someone who can't afford extra camera gear like myself to feature it, if you're someone who can only afford 2 lights or 3, whatever it is. Like being able to say, I want to make content that includes people of all types. I want to be able to give advice that includes not of all types, but includes more than one type of person. Like, I think there's a responsibility there to be mindful of, again, who are we speaking to? And again, if you're just speaking to the ideal person, I guess good for you. Half the time, like, not everyone actually knows as much about life as they claim, but also being able, as a creator, one, to have the responsibility to be careful how you speak into like the different contexts that you actually speak to, understanding the audience you speak to, understanding what might be most helpful to the audience you speak to. But I think for myself as well, as a consumer, I've just reached a point where I'm like, in general, if someone is like, here's how you save money, and I know that this person like does not include certain context, I'm just not gonna watch it. Or here's is what you should be doing with your friends, and if your friends don't do this, then they're not this. And it's like, you're just gonna speak on all the friendships in the world, like all of them. You know, like, I don't know, I feel like, I don't know if, again, this is a rant, so it might, there's a lot of it that might be baseless, but I feel like we're at that point of online interactions where everybody knows everything about everything all at once, and I don't think that's like a very healthy space for us. And I think maybe for my own like introspection, it's also been like kind of come back and be like, wait a minute, like, who do I have in real life? Like, who are the people I can actually speak to? People that know my context, not only in real life but even online. Just being mindful to say, I don't want to internalize the expectation that masses have on my own life when these masses don't know anything about my life, or to feel less than about my life because I'm just not meeting what I feel like everyone is promoting. Because honestly, like, none of us are actually meeting those standards that the internet sets for people. And maybe the other thing is, like, I also just want to like lower the place that online communities have in my own life, and I think that's something I'm working towards. But I think confronting some some of like the harmful things that online communities provide, as much as there are helpful things. But for me, generalistic, one-size-fits-all advice, I'm kind of done with that. In general, I would say even like I'm here for a good time, not a long time, you know. So much of the content that I like is actually like just feel good content. And there's times where I watch people who I'm like, your lives like look nothing like mine could ever look, and that's fine. I just won't like, you know, you won't be the place I look for advice, and maybe that's true for other people, but specifically with creators that give a lot of advice, whether it be productivity, finance, relationships, friendships, or whatever, I am so cautious these days because we set the bar so high for things, and I think these are like impossible standards that sometimes when I talk to real human beings, it just feels very like what I'm seeing these content creators promote and what I'm seeing what us as human beings experience, or my reality, is so different that it actually makes me want to take a step back and say, you know what, maybe I want to look at my own reality more. Maybe I want to pay attention to that more. Let me know what you think. Who do you take advice from? Like, who are some of your trustworthy voices online? Because those are also important. And how do you navigate like discernment, if I can use that word, discernment when it comes to listening to people online, and being able to figure out like what is helpful and what is not so helpful? Let me know in the comment section below, and until next time, I hope you're enjoying Vlogtober, and